Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Sunday, all that good stuff. And thanks for taking the time to watch, of course, my videos here. And in that sense, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Kadena, kind of see what's going on here. Of course, got a lot of requests for this. It has had a pretty decent weekend. Obviously, we've seen 3 green days here so far. So we're going to look at best practice and big picture, see what's going on. And if you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, love teaching people how to trade. I hope you can learn something here today. Taking a look here, of course, at Kadena. Let's go ahead and see what's going on. Oh, and while I'm drawing this up too, because I'm basically just going to draw out some support and resistance levels based on previous data, because we want to kind of go back here and find out. But yeah, again, just to clarify too, if you are new to the channel, you may not already know this, but I do have a trading academy and a community in case you want to become a better trader. So, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below. I look forward to working with you if you want to consider joining. So let's take a look here at the daily candles here. So what's kind of cool about this, first of all, is the Fibonacci retracement levels are lining up perfectly with previous support and resistance levels. And now the previous support and resistance levels, let's see what the time frame is there. That was roughly back in September. So right before Kadena went on its monstrous run, we can see that it was testing these resistance levels here, this resistance at about 250, and it came down as low as right around 131. Okay, so really close to about 130 as a round number. So if we take a look at that here, and now we can see that that's essentially the lowest point. Now, to clarify, it's more like 135, but it's close. All right, so 135 is essentially that line that we can see from before. It wicked down all the way there on Thursday, and now, of course, the last 3 days been increasing. So it pretty much found its bottom, for lack of better terms. It's kind of the best way to describe it there. And in this sense here, we can see that the previous resistance level was only a resistance level for 1 day on Friday, and then Saturday/Sunday broke through that. So it's a very positive sign. Really just tells us that $2.50 should be the immediate bottom if the price were to come back down and try to perform a higher low. And then of course, if it were to come down even further, just say Bitcoin was to retest 27,000, which is still probability, we could see $1.35 as a potential next level. So a good DCA target for Kadena, if this is your big picture, would be somewhere in the range of 140, 150, just above that key level support. Also, take a look here at the moving averages, see where they're at. I'm curious now. We're getting rejected by the 20, which is pretty standard for a lot of coins right now. It just kind of tells us that we're in this decline, and until we break back up above, we're probably going to continue to get rejected. So I would say a clean close above that trend line today to say 320 or higher would be fantastic, but we can see that 20-day SMA working as a resistance level, which is very common for that to do it. So in other words, when we've seen this in the past, oftentimes it works as a support level on the way up. This was a meteoric rise, of course, bad example, but generally speaking, the 20, being on the right side of the 20 on the daily is extremely important. Okay. Obviously, we prefer to be up over the 50 than 200, but we're going to have to bridge that gap later because that's somewhere in the $5 range. And we're not there yet. A close today above 320 to me would be a very awesome sign. Keep in mind, Monday could be a red day because it was somewhat of a green weekend for Bitcoin. Please understand that. There's a lot of profit taking that happens on Mondays and Fridays. That being said, Kadena, hypothetically, close above 320, we might be in good shape. Let's take a look at the larger time frames. Obviously, we got stuck under 30 in the RSI. We're back up above, which is great, trending closer to 50. We could see 50 be a resistance level there. That's probably synonymous somewhere in the range of 365 to 435. So I would say we're going to have some resistance in this zone because that was a previous volume area. But at this time, with us getting closer to 50 in the RSI, we're in good shape to be back up above 30. That's the lack of better terms there, okay? Also taking a look here at the MACD, we can see a convergence, of course, shifting that momentum bullishly from bearish to bullish. So essentially confirming the fact that the bears have lost control. That's really all it's telling us. All right, so again, just something to kind of think about. Looking at the 4 hour though, here's the kind of the big picture here. We can see the resistance level at about 70 on the RSI. So it is a bit on the overextended side. So again, it's nice for the price to kind of go sideways and or up from here based on the simple fact that, that's a key level resistance at 320, 70 on the RSI is kind of rejecting. So we want the RSI to kind of relax and calm down because RSI over 70 on the 4 hour is typically, I wouldn't say a bad sign, but oftentimes it reverses quicker. So if you see a price above 70 on the RSI on the 4 hour, it might be a little warning sign to let you know it's going to pull back. There are rare occasions where it continues, of course. Cryptocurrency does that, but generally speaking, for the most part, you're going to experience that. So that being said, this is a resistance level at 320, as we've already established. A close above that would be fantastic, but we don't want it to close above too soon. It would actually be nice for the price to kind of calm down, relax, maybe come back down 250 or 290. That wouldn't be a bad thing. It would still be making higher lows and effectively higher highs too, because of the fact that it could recover and be able to bounce back up a lot faster. All right. But all in all, we're above the 50 and the 20 on the 4 hour. This is a very good sign. Most coins can't even say that right now. So ultimately, we're looking very positive on the 4 hour. We want to see if we have any potential pullback here. Now, we do see an 8 on TD sequential, kind of telling us that we're slightly overextended. We had a 7 previously that went sideways and reset. So that being said, if we do close this 9 here, just say for example, we should anticipate the price action to pull back. Okay? And the reason why that would happen is just based on the simple fact that a 9 tells us that we've had 36 hours of continuation of the upside. Right? That push and pull, there's more pull that needs to happen, right? Because it's been pushing upwards, and the bears need to kind of get their profits, okay? Or whoever were the bulls that brought the price action to where it's at, they're going to take their profits and push the price down. There's a kind of an interesting, battle between bulls and bears, and we kind of got to understand that they're fighting it out right now. But the bulls have been winning for 36 hours plus. How much longer is that going to continue? Oftentimes when you see a 9, especially on the 4 hour, you'll see somewhat of a turnaround. So I'm willing to speculate that KDA is nearing the end of this little push, and we should see a correction to 285 or 250. Looking at the 1 hour, let's go ahead and kind of identify just really quick while we're on the subject. We hit a 9 here and a 9 previous. So if you take a look here, if you get 2 9s in a row, there's a 9, kind of went sideways, bunch of reset, then up to another 9, and we're going sideways here as well. So better case scenario, the price goes sideways, allows for the RSI to calm down closer to 50, and then to effectively bounce off of 280. So an awesome place to get in would be right around 285, 287. And ultimately looking at this right now, we can just kind of see that it's I wouldn't say it's losing momentum, it's consolidating nicely, and there may not be much of a pullback. But for lack of better terms, we should expect a pullback based on the simple fact that it's overextended on the 4 hour. That to me is usually a sign. But again, different strokes for different folks. It's perfectly fine if you disagree. And take a look here at the cloud. We can see that the lagging span is free and clear of price action, but it is going to intersect soon. So unless this push really gets a lot faster and a lot harder, it'll basically be telling us to consider trimming our position. In other words, when the lagging span kind of intersects with the price action, it kind of just tells us that that momentous trend could be coming to an end. It's very synonymous in a lot of ways with a 9 on TD sequential. Typically when you hit a 9, you'll see this kind of turn around and reverse on you. That being said, we have all good signs here on the cloud, basically letting us know we have a MACD convergence on the 4 hour. We've got a lot of positivity here, so there's no reason why it shouldn't continue, at least in the overall sense of the uptrend. But we got to be realistic in the fact that this is kind of a strong push. The probability of it continuing much higher unless Bitcoin goes crazy balls to the wall in the next 24 hours is pretty low. It needs to consolidate a little bit longer before the next increase. So feel free to dollar cost average if this is a coin that you feel is going to continue to go places, if you like the fundamentals, etc. That's essentially, it wouldn't be a terrible place to invest. Because if you look at this here, it keeps jumping up and consolidating nicely within these Fibonacci retracement channels. Okay, so there's a good chance it could come down here, but if it does, it'll be able to leg up here a lot better. So there's a lot of different schools of thought you can kind of think of, but again, it's been on the overextended side. So to me, adding to your position right now might be a little premature, but once again, depends on your overall considerations for this coin and what you plan to do to invest. Again, this is investing, not gambling. Try your best to be cautious and careful and make sure that you honor your risk tolerance. That's the bottom line. I teach this in my trading academy. I reiterate this to my community at all times. It's important to kind of have your own structure and your own way of doing things, because my way is a lot different than other folks. Like I have a much different structure than I would say the average person does, but it works well for me. And sometimes there's cases in point where I have to hold on to my position for longer, but that's only because I'm not really willing to take a loss in some cases. Depends on the climate. There's a lot of different situations, a lot of different factors, but again, something you will learn, of course, if you want to consider joining. But regardless of that fact, I thank you so much for joining me here, of course, and watching. Your continued support is fantastic. We'll keep a closer eye on Kadena here. Thanks again for the request, and we'll look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time.